Okay. Now let's talk about our final segment, which is building a winning pitch deck and the product market fit. So if I decided to raise an investment from a VC firm, what are some key elements for crafting a compelling pitch deck and showcasing our potential?
Um, so you want to look at something called everybody can Google this, right? You can Google for Sequoia Capital's pitch deck. That is like the gold standard for pitch decks. Like every single information is covered. Typically, what you want to do is that you want to show. Step one is you want to show what problem are you solving. All right, why this problem is worth solving? Like step one is problem, right? Why this problem is worth solving? How big is this problem? Who all has this problem? Why this problem is important to you? All these things should be there in like that single slide. And different people have different ways of ordering it and everything, but that is a very important piece of information. The second one is the solution. How are you solving that problem? Why is your solution the best way to solve that problem? Are there solutions outside of this? How are people solving this problem right now? Right? You want this to be so compelling that it's as if like this problem is so unsolved and this problem is like, the biggest problem for people. Right? So your problem and solution is like very, very, very key. The next thing you want to do is show what is the potential of the business. The potential of the business is a very tricky part. You want to do what you want to show how much is the total market available for your industry/business. You want to show what is the serviceable market and how much of the serviceable market, what percentage of serviceable market can you realistically obtain within a certain time span, like whether in 5 years or 6 years or 7 years. What is a realistic percentage that you can obtain? Next, you want to show if you are obtaining, let's say, 5% in 5 years, who owns the remaining 95% of the market, which is the competition? Who are your competitors? Right? Who owns the remaining 95% of the market? And how are you planning to capture that from this thing, which is called the go-to-market strategy? If these people already exist in your market, how are you planning to get 5% of that market in 5 years? Right? That is very important. What is your go-to-market strategy? The next important thing is your financials, right? If you are a brand new startup, what is your projections? If you're a running startup, what is your current rate and what is your projections? And if you're a scale up, what is the potential if I give you more money? All right. And that section should also kind of involve how much money you require, how much money you require, what is the term, right? Like, is it like how many percentage, all these terms you want to look at, and what are you going to use that money for, right? How much percent of it is towards tech development? How much of it is going to your marketing? How much of it is going towards hiring people, right? These are all very important breakdowns. But more than all of this, a very essential part that a lot of people forget is the team, right? Why do you have the right people? Why are you the right person to build this? And why do you have the right set of people around you to build this? It is a lot of people go in thinking that I am good enough and I am alone enough. That is a very bad thing. You should never have just one picture on your pitch deck. You should never be the only person building this, because one person's never, never, ever good enough to build everything on his own or on her own, right? So you always want to have at least two co-founders,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
At least two people minimum, right? With varied skill set, right? So that team makes a lot of difference. You want to compel investors to say like, I am the right person and I have the right team to build this. My team is the strongest set of people to build this. My team have such an involvement with this problem. We all face this problem regularly. So we all got together to fix this. Something like that. It has to be a little bit compelling. So that team slide is one of the most important slides, in my opinion.
Team slides.
Yeah, and so that pretty much covers your basics.
Okay. What if there are some differing opinions between two founders? Like they have the same goal, but their approaches are different. So how do we solve this kind of problem?
you become an adult and talk it out. It's as simple as that. There is no I'll do this method, that method. There's no method. You just have to sit and talk to the other person. It's as simple as that.
What if
Right?
you
There is there are so many.
Yeah, continue.
Yeah.
What if your
No, go ahead.
What if your co-founder is stubborn?
If your co-founder is stubborn, you have to reevaluate whether that is the right person to do business with. It's not easy. It's a very harsh thing. It's a very, very, very harsh thing. But it's not easy. But you have to think of your co-founder like there is this analogy, right? Your co-founder is kind of like the person you're married to. Right? You want to make sure that person's the right person. You don't want to break. You don't want to, mess things up. At the same time, you also want to have such a good functioning relationship. Any relationship, whether it's your marriage, your friends, or even a co-founder relation, all relations will have conflicts, right? It's having conflicts is not a problem. It's how you deal with conflicts is where it is what it makes or breaks something, right? Whether it's your friendship, your marriage, or even your company, what makes or breaks all of these things is how you deal with the conflicts. If you're not adult enough, if both of you are not adult enough to make compromises, if you're not adult enough to take other perspectives, then you both have to kind of evaluate whether this is a working and functional relationship. And if it's not, then is it really worth your time? Is it really worth going in every morning to see that person's face you completely disagree with? Is it really worth building something with this person? Is it possible to build something with this person? Right? A lot of things come into question if you can't deal things like an adult.
Okay. How do we divide the equity between the co-founders? Let's say we have 3 to 4 co-founders. Should we divide it equally or based on how hard they work or how much they are contributing? There should be
typically, right, there is some differing opinions on this. Some will say equal, but I don't believe in equal. If there is a person contributing more in terms of either time or money or both, they should get more, right? If somebody has sometimes what happens is, like, let's say there are 2 business graduates, like there are 2 business people who have like the most complicated tech product they have in mind. Okay, so they get another tech co-founder who is good at tech. Sometimes you have to give that person more equity just to keep that person around for a cheaper rate. Right? So these are all discussions. And the biggest problem with co-founders is that when there are more than 2, is what happens is, like, they don't like to talk to each other. They don't like to negotiate with each other. And what happens is that, they just agree on equals. And that is, like, when we look at it from a VC point of view, we look at it as a negative sign, a red flag. If the founders have equal equity in a company, that is a red flag, because these co-founders don't know how to negotiate with each other or negotiate in general. They are just avoiding a problem. They're just avoiding a conversation. So that is a red flag for us. But in reality, in a company, you have to negotiate. If you are putting more time, if you are putting in more resources, if you are more skillful and more important for the business to succeed, you have to negotiate a higher equity.
So negotiation.
And that is not. Yes, and usually that is not an easy conversation to have with your co-founders. It is a very difficult conversation. I've had that conversation multiple times, and it's a very, like, a nightmare to have that conversation. So, but you have to have it. It's just part of the game.
They might hold grudges, maybe, if they don't get all.
They might, but it's okay.
You talked about go-to-market strategy, right? So how can startups validate their product ideas and ensure they are solving a real problem for their target audience? Is my question.
Easiest, cheapest way to do it is talk to your potential customers. Just go and talk to them, and don't ask them questions. Like, don't ask them, do you do this, do you do this, do you do this? No, just have a normal conversation. buy them a cup of coffee and ask them questions, talk to them, know what they're about, what web this thing is, what they do, know every single detail about your customers. I remember like when we were first thinking about starting a business, we just went to a coffee shop and we spoke to around 350 people, if I'm not wrong. 350 people just to check if this is a problem they have. And what we found out is like roughly 120 of them didn't have that problem. Okay. But the remaining did. So that could be a potential problem to solve. So then what we started doing was like we built this new product to see if that happens. We put out like a few ad campaigns on like social media to see how many people are clicked on and everything. Those didn't work out very well. So then we knew that this is maybe not a big enough problem or we are going about it wrong. So we had to pivot. This finding whether this is a good problem to solve will not be like a 1 month or a 2 month exercise. This could be a longer process depending on what you're trying to solve. So don't get deterred, but always talk to your potential customers. You have to talk to your customers. You can't just build newsletters and make lists and like wait for your customers to flow in. You have to go directly talk to your customers. That is the easiest, cheapest, and the smartest way to do it.
Then what are some key metrics for measuring our product market fit, and how can entrepreneurs track progress and make adjustments as needed?
The biggest metric to figure out product market fit is revenue. How much sales are you doing? Right? If you're not making any sales, there is sadly no product market fit. As simple as that. Right? And if you're seeing that you have a certain target and you're not attaining that target, it means that you have a bad product market fit. As simple as that. So you look at ways to pivot. Do I offer a different service? Do I offer a product? Do I offer an add-on? You kind of have to figure it out, right, around that. But if you're not meeting your targets, if you're not meeting a realistic target, you don't like set yourself up for failure, but you set realistic targets. And if you don't attain your targets, you go back and see why you didn't attain your target. Did your campaign fail? Did people not like your product? What is the reason? Are they reviews? Are they negative testing? The first few months, you can maybe even call your customers and ask, how do you feel about those, what it is, and how often do you use it, etc., etc., etc. Right? So that is, but you have to first, initial payment go through is not the product market fit, but to figure out what is the metric for product market fit. What is my target to see whether I succeeded or failed? And that is going to take a couple of months. Once you figure out what is a good target fit, that is when you figure out after that is which time you figure out like whether you have a good product market fit. And a good chance is there that you might not have a product market fit. But it is what it is. Like, yes, well, here is what it is. You can't do anything about it.
Okay. Okay, one last question, then we can wind up.
Sure, go ahead.
What are some practical tips for iterating on products and improving the user experience based on the market feedback we get?
All right. So step one is you want to have like whatever tech, I'm going to assume tech product, right? Whatever tech product you have, you want to install enough ways to measure your customers' interactions. Right? Easy, no-brainer problem. Step two is you want to directly talk to your customers. This is not a review section. This is not like to Google reviews or one of these things. You want to call them up and ask them, is everything okay? Okay, does it work for me? What do you feel about it? And when you're starting out, you have that option. When you're big like Facebook or Google, you don't have that option. Right? But when you are a very small company, you have that option. You have to make use of it. Step three is making sure that you stick to conventions, especially with mobile apps and websites and all these things, right? Web applications. You have to see that there are conventions, right? There is like a certain, if you're doing UI, there's the material UI library. There comes standards and conventions. You follow the standards and conventions, the likely chance is that the user experience is very good because people are used to certain things. People are used to swiping right to move right. People are used to swiping left to move left. Right? So you stick to conventions, you're most likely offering a good customer feedback. The last thing is like make sure you always sandbox your tests. right? Just because let's say you have a version 1 of an application, you want to test version 2. You don't want to, randomly like update everybody's application to version 2. You want to take a few people and you want to test the version 2 with them in like in a separate environment. Right? You want to like either in a focus group or you're just sending updates. So if you see Facebook, right, they test updates in a very nice fashion. Some people before they stopped, there is a feature on Instagram where it doesn't show number of likes. Like at first they didn't roll out to everybody. They rolled out to selective users and selective places, selective regions. And they tested it, then they got the feedback from it, then they rolled out to everybody. Correct?
Correct.
So you want to do some sort of a test like that. If you can't afford to do that, which is fair enough. If you can't afford to do that, ask like 5 of your most loyal customers to test out and update and see how they feel about it. Right? This is what you can do about it.